What's up, everybody? This is IMO Reviews. As you can see, I have my Rush 2017 Teak shirt. So if you are not in Teak, like, what are you doing? You know? You know? So yeah, that's my fraternity, Rush Teak 2K18. If you go to SUNY Plattsburgh, that's my college. I'm assuming a lot of people watching this probably do go to my school, so yeah. Rush next semester. We lit. Yeah. Anyway, this is gonna be a new format that I'm doing for my channel called EP Gauntlet, where I talk about a bunch of EPs that came out this week, kind of just, one after another. It's gonna be a little bit shorter of a video just because they are EPs, though I'm gonna be talking about three today. And the first one that we got right here is just a little something before the album by Ugly God. Ugly God is a meme rapper, kind of sorts, but he did make huge waves back in, I believe it was 2017, 16, when he dropped Water. You know, that track where he's like, I fuck on your bitch with the water. I pull up and fuck on your daughter, or whatever the fuck he said, I don't know. But, he showed that he had a great personality. He was very funny. He had a good ear for production. I was actually a big fan of that song. I saw very promising things from Ugly God. However, the album that he released after this seemed kind of bland, uninteresting, not really anything that we haven't seen from Ugly God already. So it was kind of a flop, to be honest. But here he's coming back with this EP, and to be honest, I don't really like this project either. I mean, there's some good productions on tracks, but it's nothing that we haven't heard from Ugly God again before. And even some songs are bad lyrically and also have bad production, like Leave a Tip, or like I can't stand that background synth with those trap drums. It just sounds, ugh, it's so off-putting. It really is. It's kind of gross. I don't like it at all. I do have to admit that "Bitch Where My Hug At" has such a banger beat. Like those hard pianos mixing with the trap drums. There's some funny lines here as well. Like for instance, there's one where he says he's winning, and then like the ad lib right after, he's like Winnie the Pooh, and it's just like I don't know. It made me crack up. I really like that track. It was catchy. It had a nice beat, nice flow, and funny lyrics. Though there's some tracks on here where his lyrics are trying to be funny and are actually kind of like insensitive in a very bad way. And usually I like music that kind of is so much like saying what's not supposed to and is so explicit. But in Tropics, he literally said, might pull up at your party, might spike your drink. Like, come on, dude. No one wants to hear that. Like, come on, that's just gross. Like Rick Ross did that same thing a couple years ago and then lost a huge Nike deal. Like, come on, you gotta be smart about your shit, dude. Really, Ugly God. Really, man. Really. He does that gang voice too, also, where like many people are yelling the hook on the track "We Want All the Smoke," which is the final track on this EP. But here it just doesn't seem as funny as "Fuck Ugly God" because he's not dissing himself. So it's kind of like, why are there many people on this? It's not like what's the point of this? It doesn't really even hype it up that much. So I don't know. This EP was kind of a flop. I'm not too excited for Ugly God's future at all. Next, there's this EP called Apart. It's by Pete Yorn and Scarlett Johansson, which is somehow worse than Ugly God's EP. Scarlett Johansson, not that she's the worst singer, but I don't see a reason for her to start a singing career at all. Much better actress, to be honest. Huge fan of her doing that, but singing, she's just not. There's something very unique about her voice. There's something very interesting. I think a lot of these songs, when she harmonizes with Pete Yorn, it just sounds horrible. Like really, really trash. Almost as if the two are tone deaf to each other. And there's some interesting concepts on here, though. I do like the concept on Cigarello, where it's kind of talking about addiction. It's a bit of a depressing song, but then also there's one like Tomorrow, which is a remix of a Pete Yorn song. And that one's more about kind of appreciating the life you have now, living in the moment, enjoying things as they are. But the singing and the mixing on it is so bad. Like some of these instrumentals are relaxing, but even those ones are mixed so bad. I feel like professionals did not make this. Really. Especially the track Iguana Bird was mixed really bad. It sounds like just there's instruments that are all doing their own thing that aren't really complementing each other, let alone the horrible like vocals on it. And Tomorrow like really sounds like a mix of like they're trying to do like this moody acoustic indie thing, but also like this electronic dance sound, and it just doesn't complement each other at all, especially when they're all mixed together really bad. So yeah, this A Party P was also a flop. But I do have to say, that is not the case at all for this new Black Thought and Ninth Wonder project, Streams of Thought, because this thing is amazing. I mean, the lyrics on here, even for someone as talented as Black Thought, and I could be biased because he is one of my favorite rappers, he is in The Roots, which is one of my favorite bands, but to be honest, there's a good reason for that. I mean, he's extremely talented, has a great delivery, and this project really, even from that, is a step up. I mean, some of the lines here, like he says, in jean jackets and Jabare Adidas, back when local R&B was just as soulful as orthopedics. Or like at this part, he says, I heard murder ran as vast as deserted land since back when Burning Man was blacks in Birmingham before the presidential election diversion scam. Matter of fact, before they clapped Franz Ferdinand. I mean, even like just the rhyme schemes, beyond just what he's saying, but the rhyme schemes are amazing too. And even Ninth Wonder's production is like A1. I mean, a lot of these beats are so great and work really well with Black Thought. Like, I'm surprised they really haven't done that much work before, because Black Thought is a very lyrical rapper who was very popular in the 90s, and Ninth Wonder kind of makes production like that with a lot of soul, which Black Thought tends to have in his delivery for a lot of tracks, especially on the last one on this album, Thank You, where he sounds very genuine, but also like has that in your face, aggressive, boom bap rap style that he's known for with The Roots. The only thing I would say that's kind of bad is I feel like the track with Rhapsody, I love her and I was a huge fan of her album, but I feel like Black Thought kind of outshined her in terms of energy, kind of in terms of bars, although she does have some clever lines in here. I gotta give her that. Overall, great EP. Definitely check it out. It's mwah, mwah, good stuff. I think aside from Ugly Gods, just a little something before the album, just a little tiny something. Aside from that, I think this was a really good week for like EPs and hip hop, because this new Czarface and MF Doom one sounds so good. I really liked the Czarface meets Metalface project. I thought it had cool production, great bars on a lot of the tracks, some awesome features. They played to each other's strengths really well and kind of worked together, bouncing off each other's flows in the way that like Bad Meets Evil or Cess Crew might, or even Run the Jewels, how they kind of have that back and forth style. They also have kind of like these very aggressive, in your face, lyrics that kind of flip the bird to whatever authority they're trying to call out. And this album further proved that not only can Czarface and MF Doom do that, they can also have some excellent production. I mean, the first track on here, Man's Worst Enemy, it's not very long, but it had a really funny intro that kind of goes with the whole comic book theme. It sounded like something from the 80s, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of style that Czarface tends to do with album covers and lyrical topics. But they even came through with some pretty nice verses on this. MF Doom has a great one on this track. The other one, Metal with Metal, is a remix, and I thought it was like super dope. Like I really like the original of this track, but I think that this new beat kind of brings more energy to it, where like the first one seemed kind of like very formal. It almost like, I don't know how to describe, like a military kind of sounding beat. This one seems more like they're trying to have fun with it, make it a little bit bouncier, not as like straightforward. And I think that kind of brought a different way to look at the track and look at the lyrical topic of it. I don't know how to say this one. Rotsler's theme, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, that had some really cool instrumentation to it. I mean, funky bass, great live drums, as well as the track Antidote, like the Omega Czar remix. Like they were playing these really low piano keys that kind of had a dark tone to them, as well as like a bass line that pretty much sounded like the same chord progression, but then it comes in with these organs and it's like, and it just sounds amazing. I love it. This EP was really great. It was short, yes. Like honestly, Rotsler's theme is only 56 seconds, like only a minute, but for what it is, I mean, it's pretty excellent. Great production, and Czarface and MF Doom once again come through with some really crazy lyrics, some kind of comic book vibes that kind of make this track something that stands out. So yeah, I would check this out if I were you. It's pretty dope. Pretty fucking dope. Pretty rad, bro. Next thing I'm going to talk about is this Mazzy Star Still EP, which kind of took me by surprise. I've never really heard much from the group before, and this project was very depressing, very eerie, had a lot of dark tones and lyrics, and maybe I should have assumed that by the title, but I was still very um, surprised by a lot of it. Like Quiet the Winter Harbor is kind of a track about how the lead singer feels like she's sinking into like this non-tangible thing and she needs to go to the harbor to save herself, and like it just sounds so depressing, but really good, honestly. I mean, in a good way. Like it's done well. A lot of these lyrics are written very well. Also, like the track "That Way Again." I really like how it's kind of like she's in this place where she's like, you know, this ex-boyfriend or ex-lover or something treated her so badly, and she's never gonna see him in that way again. I thought that was kind of a good track, kind of describing the process of getting over someone in a breakup, as well as the song "Still" seemed to kind of have some themes about that. Though I didn't like the production on this one as much. And I do think that the lead singer kind of sounds exactly like Lana Del Rey, to be honest, but with some like Norah Jones vibe, maybe like Evanescence style lyrics though. This does take it a level deeper. I will say this is a very deep EP. I do like that about it. I think the songwriting here is great. The instrumentals are very simple. I think some of them could be mixed a little better, but they still sound very pretty to the ear. A lot of like acoustic stuff. There's even some like droney sounds on So Tonight That I Might See Ascension version. There's like this drone in the background kind of style. That's how they went with the instrumental, and I think it's done very well. I have a friend who's very into music like this, and it always kind of brings you to a weird euphoric state of mind, a very peaceful, tranquil state of mind. I felt this track did it, though they had a touch of darkness and like kind of these eerie, dreary sounds with it that I thought was a good mix. Though I will say that there's a lot of flute and like horn sounds on here that kind of sound like those like deep fried meme videos where it just like is supposed to be painful for the ear. I think they could have done without some of those. It seemed like those kind of took me out of the initial vibe of getting lost in the track, so I would have done without that. But still, I mean, this is it's a pretty good EP. You know, it's all right. There's some highlights on here. Definitely check it out if you're into some kind of depressing music, some stuff that sounds very eerie and spooky in a way. And I think the lyrics are really step up. Like it's pretty deep. Yeah, it's definitely deep for sure. Anyway, this has been the EP Gauntlet with me, IMO Reviews, Mike, as some of you know me. So definitely check out my next few videos. I'm going to talk a lot about the new Father John Misty album, the new Luke Combs one, that new Ghost album, as well as Kanye West Ye project. So I'm going to have a lot of album reviews coming out. It's going to take me a little bit of time to digest all these projects and formulate an opinion. But regardless, I want to try to get a bunch of those reviews out this week and then maybe some more next week. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff coming out. Thank you guys for sticking with me as I start this channel. I appreciate you. You loyal